I said it last year, and I will say it this year again. I say in the previous episodes and everything. I think I said in my YouTube videos and everything. I stand by that, and but the only thing that will kill this idea in me, unless Activision and Microsoft are too late to realize that, Warzone is the future of competitive Call of Duty. Hello, take a drink, grab a snack, take a shower from sweating too much in Call of Duty, and enjoy my beautiful European voice. Welcome to Lockdown Play, a gaming podcast where I talk about our favorite first-person shooter franchise, Call of Duty. Whether you're playing multiplayer or Warzone, there's always something to talk about, and I hope you will enjoy my discussions that I always have regarding this gaming franchise. This is episode 5, my name is Tom, also known as the Lanky Soldier, and today we're gonna be talking about Call of Duty, obviously, and more precisely about competitive Call of Duty. We haven't touched this topic for a while. I mentioned it in the last couple of episodes, but we're gonna talk about it more briefly now. So, as we're patiently waiting for Season 4 to start, there's a lot of discussions happening regarding ranked mode, competitive Call of Duty, and all that kind of stuff, and I feel like we have something to add to the conversation, and I hope you will stick around. But before we do any of that, I just want to thank everyone as usual for sticking around and listening to my ramblings. If you have the time to leave a rating on whatever platform you're listening on, please do, as it helps to people to discover the podcast, as Lockdown Player is extremely new comparing to other Call of Duty podcasts out there. So if you leave a rating, that would be really great and it helps the show. So before we're gonna continue with our analytical, maybe even philosophical conversation about competitive Call of Duty, if you listened to any Lockdown Player episodes before, you know where you need to go. I don't have to tell you anything. But for the new listeners, first and foremost, welcome. And which new episode, I always do this bit called Housekeeping. And it's because I have to inform new people, the process, what's happening, do some announcements and remind them some stuff and so on and all that kind of stuff. So basically, just a catch-up, before we go to the main topic of this episode. So first and foremost, we have time codes available in the description. So if you're listening to this on Spotify or watch it on YouTube, time codes should display right in front of your screen. Like when you click on the episode, it should be right in front of your screen. And I think that on Spotify, I think they're called chapters, if I remember correctly. So yeah, but it's there to make your listening experience much better, much easier. As I understand, not everyone has an hour to spare to listen about some guy talking about Call of Duty. I fully get that. So time codes are there for your listening experience, and I hope that will help you a lot. So if you want to listen to a particular topic, you listen to a particular topic. Of course, social media, we have that. It's also in the description. Twitter, Blue Sky, whatever, Threads. I'm not a big fan of social media these days. I have to be active there just to remind people that I'm not dead, but hey, it's social media. Well, you know the deal with social media. And we also have a Google Forms document in the description, so it's there for you to give us feedback, questions, straight up, send us insults or compliments about the show, about me, or whatever that may be. If you don't have a social media, you can click on the Google Forms document in the description and write anything that is on your mind, and we'll read that feedback for the next episode if it's really that good. So we have this Google Forms document on the other podcast, Battlefield 1 podcast, where we talk about Battlefield. And it's been very successful there, so we made the same Google Forms document in the description. So if you want to give us feedback, you don't have a social media account and you don't want to email us, Google Forms document is there to give us feedback. Just click on that link and just start writing. If you have questions, I'll answer. If you have any answers, I'll listen. If you want to send insults, more to it, have fun with that. And I'm pretty sure you don't even need a Google account, because the way I set it up, you can just click on the link and just start writing. It's that easy, no friction between you and me. It's that easy. Right, and most important thing, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TheLankySoldier. If it wasn't for Patreon, I doubt I would be starting another podcast series about Call of Duty. Patreon is not only there to support you, it's not there to support me as a content creator or a podcast host, but it's there for you to enjoy the extra amazing content that we make over there. The obvious thing, of course, regardless what tier you subscribe, to the Patreon, you'll get early access to future Lockdown episodes ad-free. So you're not only getting early access, you're also getting them ad-free. So Meaning if you're listening to this on Patreon, you will not be hearing this housekeeping bit. You will go straight to the meat and potatoes of that particular episode, and you will not hear this bit about me promoting about Patreon. So you just go straight to the topic, and it's easy, good, and all that kind of stuff. And anyone that subscribes to the main tier of Patreon, you will also get access to our exclusive Patreon podcast called Live Gaming Gathering Extra. We also call it LGG Extra. And it's a podcast series that we make 2-3 times a month, where me and my friends gather around and talk about video games. We're gamers. We have a lot of things to say. So we talk about video games all the time, especially me and my friend who actually worked in gaming industry in some shape or form and still being active to this day. So we have a lot of things to say. And because we have so much experience, we want to talk about it. Sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's not serious. Well, but it's one of the best episodes we ever make because it's just being us. It's us being relaxed, not being pressured by someone in the background, in terms of sources on Spotify or YouTube monetization, whatever the case may be. It's just us talking and we're having a good time. That's all it is. So if you join Lockdown Player, I think you should check out the Patreon because I think you would enjoy our discussions about the gaming industry. And sometimes not the gaming, sometimes just, random conversations about something that we care about. But if you're not interested in the podcast, all good. It's all right. We have some behind the scenes stuff or some longer videos about Call of Duty and all that kind of stuff that are not available on my YouTube channel. So there's always something for everyone. So if you're not sure about supporting us and you have no idea if it's worth it, we do offer a free trial for the gold tier subscribers, which is the main tier. And because we believe we're making good stuff and we believe you're gonna stay after the free trial ends. I will not be offering everyone a free trial if I had no idea or I did not presume that we make some good content. I believe you will stay after the free trial ends and you'll stay with us because we believe we make some good stuff and we believe in our work, in our projects, whatever we do. We believe in ourselves. We believe we make some good stuff. And so that's what we do. Free trial is there to test the waters for you, see if you like it. And we believe you're going to stick around because we do make some good stuff. And to give us to give you an example what kind of show we're hosting on Patreon, here's a clip from that's the thing about hosting. Hosting by yourself. So anyway, here's an example from the last episode we posted recently. And I can see why he's so fucking mad. Because, like I said on the Battlefield 1 podcast, he fucking tried. He actually went online, talked to the community. He asked what you guys like to see, what's Battlefield for you, what defines Battlefield, what do you like. He was figuring out the franchise, right? So, how we always complain that everyone grew up with a different Battlefield game, and mostly because DICE reinvents
what he was trying to do is he was trying to get his feet in the water and figure out exactly, what all he could do and where he could go. And I salute the shit out of him for putting that due diligence in and wanting to do that due diligence. That's kind of what a little aggravates me a little bit about this whole departure thing of his. And you're right, the way that it reads, his tweet on that, yeah, that basically says that's about as a professional middle finger as you could probably get without it being a literal blatant middle finger to somebody's face.
Yep.
And I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit.
Patreon.com/the Lanky Soldier. Alright, my fellow casuals and sweatlords, let's talk about competitive Call of Duty. Well, first and foremost, let's get some news out of the way. So last episode I mentioned about the rumors, leaks. I don't know how much of them are true, but about last episode I mentioned about Microsoft and Game Pass situation with Call of Duty. And basically the rumor was that Call of Duty might not be coming to Game Pass day one when the new Call of Duty is out, aka Black Ops 6 or whatever it's called. Black Ops 5, Black Ops 6, whatever. And basically rumors were that Microsoft executives debating if putting a new Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, on Game Pass day one is the right move financially. And on that episode, I argued that long term, it is, because you're getting a bigger player base, easier access to the multiplayer section, and people will spend more on skins and all that kind of stuff because it just makes sense. Yeah, you will lose the $70 entry fee, yeah, sure, but here's the thing, it depends. If, Call of Duty will sell, regardless. But I'm pretty sure Call of Duty will sell Game Passes if done right, I believe it will be the right move, and apparently, according to Bloomberg, Xbox president Sarah Bond recently reaffirmed that all Xbox first-party games will launch on day one on Game Pass, potentially including Call of Duty. But she says potentially, so we still don't know about it. Her quote, it says, "Importantly, you get to every single one of the games we build day one in Game Pass, and you're going to see more really big games going on into Game Pass later this year. Across the whole slate. Yeah, she said across the slate too. Okay. Across the whole slate, you're going to see some really amazing things." She actually said that. But yeah, they're still debating. She reaffirms that Xbox games that are not Call of Duty are coming Game Pass day one. But she doesn't confirm. She says potentially Call of Duty is coming on day one. So let's see. Let's see how it goes. But I think it will be the right call by Microsoft, especially if Xbox brands is, Xbox as a brand itself is kind of disappearing as time goes on. If you haven't heard the news about Microsoft is thinking becoming a full-time game publisher instead of a console provider, instead of is that a console provider? Yeah, I would say a console. Yeah. Anyway, a company that makes a console, right? So there's only like Microsoft and PlayStation. Well, of course Nintendo, but Nintendo, they're doing their own thing. They're in a completely different universe. But there's rumors about Microsoft just admitting defeat in the console war, whatever you want to call it. I hate the word console war. And they're just thinking, you know what, we're just going to become a game publisher instead. So Xbox as a brand will be like a publishing label, I guess, for video games. And Microsoft is already publishing games on PlayStation regardless, and it's one of the biggest publishers on PlayStation. So, and the point is just basically, what happens if Microsoft brings Halo to PlayStation? So to a lot of people, that would be like that's it. That's the death of Xbox. Like, what's the point buying an Xbox? Just buy a PlayStation and play your Xbox games on a PlayStation, right? I don't know. I'm not really qualified to talk about that kind of stuff because it's just, what do you want me to say? I don't know. I'm not in the boardroom with those executives talking about and looking at the data and numbers and everything. I don't know what they're thinking or what the numbers and everything. I know that the PlayStation is still out. Sorry about the beeping in the background. It's just neighbors. Yeah, I don't know I don't see the numbers. I know that PlayStation is selling 2-1 with the versus Xbox console, but I don't know. I just think that having Black Ops 6, Black Ops 5, or whatever the next game is called, I think it would be a really good idea to have it on Game Pass. Because you still can buy the game just fine. You're still gonna buy, you're still gonna buy it on PlayStation. You're still able to buy it on PC, and if you want to, get it cheaper on Game Pass, sure, get it on Game Pass. And besides, the game is gonna be on sale like a month later or something like that for 20% off, 30% off or something like that. I doubt they're gonna go low, but it's still gonna be cheaper, and that's basically two month subscriptions for Xbox Ultimate or whatever that is. So yeah, I don't know. I think it would be a good idea for Call of Duty to come to Game Pass because it will bring more value to Game Pass and people will stay on Game Pass because hey, you play Call of Duty. Well, how about try other games? You get a better value. But that's kind of it. There's no big news regarding that. Somehow I managed to talk about 3-4 minutes about it. But hey, in other news. Wobbs and Friends bundle is out. Why I have to tell you that this particular bundle is out? Because they look like Teletubby rejects and I'm all for it. I tried to use AI to make some funny alternate names for Wobbs and Friends, and Wobbs and his met friends or something like that, but ChatGPT thought that I was crossing the line and I was being too offensive, so I just gave up on that. Anyway, the skin is hilarious, just some fuzzy wannabe Teletubby rejects with googly eyes and everything. Is just like the best skin ever. I'm sorry. I prefer more realistic skins. I prefer more realistic soldiers and all that kind of stuff. I'm a milsim type of guy, but damn, that is just so funny. I just have to let you know that it's out. It's just like, oh, so good. But yeah, and that's where the news ends. We patiently waiting for season 4 news. They're already teasing about season 4. There's a little teaser video, like a 15-second, 30-second clip, something like that. It's just random images of random stuff, and Car 98 was mentioned or shown, and some other different gun is shown, and a new map in Tokyo or something like that. So we're just waiting for Season 4, and that's it. We just wait for the news. There's no rush or anything, so we just wait. But anyway, that's where the news end. So let's talk about something that is more general, maybe in a philosophical sense, comparative Call of Duty. Now, before we continue with Call of Duty, competitive Call of Duty, I just want to talk about a little bit about me, when it comes to competitive stuff. I'm a very competitive person. I love to compete. I believe in spirit of competition, whether it be video game or playing something in real life, real life activity, your sports and all that kind of stuff. If I know there's something at stake, a prize, a rank, bragging rights, I'm taking it seriously. Of course, I have to enjoy what I'm doing. Like, I have to enjoy whatever game or whatever I'm doing. But that's how usually my brain works. I took part in different competitive events in my life, whether it be real life or video games. And for example, I had an ambitious dream of becoming a professional football player, and I was for soccer player for you Americans. I had a big ambition regarding that, and I was pretty good. Of course, like I said, it's a very ambitious dream. Only like less than 1% managed to achieve that kind of goal in their lives. But I was pretty good, and I was really competitive. And if there's something at stake, I really cared about. I remained professional about everything, and I took part in competitive events in video games. I, for example, was taking part in Battlefield events. For anyone that doesn't know, competitive Battlefield can be very interesting, and it's a very diverse and interesting experience to play in competitive competitive Battlefield matches. And I was a tank driver because I was really, really good in a tank. Now people will say like, oh, what kind of bullshit this is, a competitive scene with a tank and everything. It's a Battlefield, the way we designed it back then. I think it was like 8 on 8, and it made sense. It worked really well. It was great. Just because you're in a tank doesn't mean you're gonna have a free roam and getting kills. Oh no. When the enemy team has a tank and you have a tank, it's a valuable asset. We had a designated repair monkey. When we called them repair monkeys, I had a designated repair monkey. I was the tank driver, trying to do as much as I can, damage as I can to the enemy tank. Try to, help the infantry players to push and all that kind of stuff. In Battlefield, competitive can be very interesting and diverse, and it's an experience. And I was really a good tank driver, basically, and being a tank driver in a demon lobby, it's not easy. Trust me, it's not easy as people think it is. It's like you have to really try. You have to look every angle. You have to plan your next move and everything, because you can't just travel across the map. You have designated areas where you can travel, because a tank can't swim, for example, right? A tank can't swim or fly, whatever. So you have to think carefully. Are you gonna flank around here? Are you gonna go forward? Are you gonna try to push on the flag, or try to be a more defensive? That kind of stuff. So, but yeah, long story short, I'm a very competitive person. And whatever I'm going to be talking about today, and some of you are already probably invested in competitive Call of Duty in some shape or form, as, there's like already 4 or 5 podcasts on Spotify purely about Call of Duty League. So we might disagree about certain aspects that we're going to be talking about today. Heck, maybe you'll think I'm full of shit sometimes. I get that, which is fine. But I can assure that I'm your ally. I want Call of Duty competitive to be good, entertaining, educational, following the comparative spirit, with Call of Duty thriving, Call of Duty League thriving, and Warzone having their own comparative league, or whatever the case may be. Trust me, I fully understand your frustrations, your love for this franchise and everything, and I support you. We are allies. Whatever I'm gonna say today, you might disagree with me, and that's fine, but we want the same thing. We want competitive Call of Duty to be thriving and be interesting and inviting towards new people. But yeah, I'm very competitive. I had moments in my life where, where my peers, I don't know if I want to talk about it. You know what, might as well. I had moments in my life where my peers or colleagues, whatever, teammates, whenever I was a teenager or an adult, even now, I had so many moments when my peers just would instantly back out or refuse to play or complain that they are playing against people that are better than them. And a big chance they were better than me too in some shape or form. But that never stopped me from saying no to them. Like, no, fuck you, I will stand my ground and I will accept your challenge. I don't give up, I just don't. I'm a stubborn piece of shit that doesn't want to lose to anyone, regardless how good they are, against me. I will just keep trying until my body or my mental state won't allow me anymore. So, for better or worse, no matter how much I love my friends, for example, they want to do their own thing. They think they know best. As time went on, I realized that arguing with them is pointless when we play ranked mode or whatever the case may be, and we always argue about when we're playing badly or lose SR. Just a couple of days ago, I literally rage quit from the group because we were losing SR left and right, and I could just not take it anymore because I want us to play good, And of course, we all blame each other, and I will admit that when it's my fault, of course, but there were so many times that we lost so bad because the either communication is bad or they're horrible at reading the game or whatever the case may be. I'm sure, is it me throwing my friends at the bus? Yeah, sure, I guess. But in the end, if we're like a player or two down, Horo is alive. It's the only matter of time until the last player is dead. It's just like, we so disadvantage playing against Crimson and Iridescent players. Let's play like pro streamers, right? Which is fine, but to play like Iridescent and top 250 players, we need skill, Well, and all domino pieces need to come together for that to happen, because I know that we don't have the gun skills to outplay a fully stacked Crimson group and Iridescent players. So we need to play a bit smarter, and that's why we always argue. I try to tell them, like, we need to play smarter, fuck your, kills and everything, play a bit smarter, If you miss a kill, that's fine. You just need to know it in retreat, but sometimes, like, they just push to fights that they know they can't win, or they stay in one place way too long, and suddenly we're, outflanked, outmatched, or whatever the case may be, and I just like, yeah. We have a case of, that someone thinks that they're better than they actually are, and maybe me sometimes, but at least I understand my limitations, and sadly my group of friends are suffering from that, sadly, or one of them just literally just wants to wipe, and one of them actually asked me, what happens if you lose rank? You won't get the money or something. Why is this your livelihood and everything? And that pissed me off so much. Why are we playing rank then? Let's play normal, let's play pubs. Well, why I have to lose my shit in ranked if you're not gonna give your best? And that's the thing I get mad about when I'm, playing competitive games. If my teammates or my friends or anyone doesn't give a shit about playing good or being professional or whatever, or communicating or working together as a team, if someone has to switch roles, I don't care. We can switch roles, it's fine. But if I see that someone doesn't care, or someone's just vibing around, just doesn't give a shit, then I'm not interested. I don't want to play with those people. I just don't. I rather play by myself then, because at least I know I can somewhat control my destiny in the match. And that what pisses me off. I that's what I want people to care when they play for, for their rank in a video game, whatever. Because if we play in rank, we play proper, right? If we don't, why are we even playing this, right? What's the point? What's the point? If you want to vibe, let's vibe somewhere else. So I get really mad about that, and it's maybe a personal problem at this point. I have problems. Don't get me wrong. I have so many problems that I'm not perfect, but I just want cooperation. I just want teamwork. I don't want to argue about something. I just call out the players. Let me know where you're going. Tell me what's happening. I don't want to babysit. And people don't realize that I do a lot of babysitting with a lot of players. I do a lot because I know, like, well, we need to stay together. They want to go. Okay, sure. Let me go babysit them and see. Maybe we can salvage something out of this. That's my weakness. Like, instead of telling them how we need to do it and what to do, I just believe in them. They think maybe I'm wrong. I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong. Wait, I'm gonna have a sip of water. I wasn't wrong. It just pisses me off. So yeah, I do a lot of babysitting when it comes to like ranked games, because especially in games I consider myself to be pretty decent. I do a lot of babysitting because I do rewatch my gameplay. I see what's happening as I analyze what's happening because I want to get better. I'm not gonna be, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna become a professional Call of Duty player. That's not happening. That's under no circumstances that's happening. But because I'm an adult, I'm a 30-year-old man, that's not happening. But I still want to play good. As a kid, I was making like tournament systems, foundations or whatever. I was making my own tournaments. I was modding games to have some sort of tournaments, or I was organizing tournaments in real life and all that kind of stuff. I have experience at that, and I always loved, and I always enjoyed that experience of, hosting a tournament and making tournaments, seeing competition and, how people are competing and everything. That is, exciting to me. Just watching the whole competition happening in front of my eyes that I create, I'm like, wow, I love that. And if people enjoy playing in those tournaments, I will gladly do more. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, I love competition. I love competing. I love doing your best in a competition, that kind of stuff. And I basically apply that mentality to my video games. Like I said, I played a lot of competitive events. I all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I really care about that. So, like I said, wherever we disagree about something I'm gonna mention today, I'm your ally. We might disagree about something, how we want competitive Call of Duty to be, but I'm your ally, and we want the same thing. So yeah, that's kind of it. But yeah, Call of Duty League. Let's talk about Call of Duty League first, for example. So the state of Call of Duty competitive. So Call of Duty League. So anyone doesn't know, it's like the Call of Duty League that is a normal Call of Duty multiplayer 4-on-4, right? With teams and everything and so on. I'm so sorry about the sign in the background again. The joys of living in London. It's... Oh wow, that's... Who the hell they're chasing now? Could be an ambulance. Can you please move away so I can talk about Call of Duty? No, still beeping. Can you stop beeping? Okay, it's gone. Anyway, Call of Duty League. So, I love Call of Duty League, as in I love the idea of it. I like the idea of Call of Duty League. But there's a lot of things I hate about it, and I will explain why. I hate that it's a closed club. And it's a very American-based closed club. And it became even more as time went on. So, since 2019, Call of Duty League or whatever got rebranded, into Call of Duty League. I can't remember what was known as before, Call of Duty World Champs or something like that. I can't remember the name. But basically, it was the whole competitive scene was redesigned into competitive league and it basically teams that want to participate. It basically became a franchising thing. So it became all the teams are franchises. It's like a very American way of doing, sports. Like there's no promotion or relegation. It's whoever has the money can enter the league and compete. And the entry fee back then was 25 million. 25 million to enter your team into the league. And that's just the fee of entering. So, a couple of months ago, I think last month or 2 months ago, they announced that they're removing that fee and they're gonna repay all the teams that already paid some of their fee to enter the league. And so maybe in the future now, with that fee removed, maybe we're gonna have more teams now and so on. But it's still, I don't like the idea that this is a very close club, right? And there's no promotion or relegation or whatever. There's of course challenges, whatever. And it's a very American-based league. So, for example, when Call of Duty League started, there was teams from France, Canada, UK, and USA, right? But all the matches were taking place in USA, Anyone remember a cold team, London Royal Ravens? Remember that team? Right, they never played a game in London. Never in their lives they've played a game in London. And they moved to Carolina. So now they're known as Carolina Ravens, right? That's the team name. So they were based in London. They're not anymore because all the matches take you in USA. It's dumb. And I don't know why we don't have any European teams in the league. Well, I know why, because everything is very Americanized and Europeans don't want to deal with that because like it's just too much. So the league itself is, from a foundational point of view, from a foundational level, is not that good. I think the format is shit. I think the way they compete in this particular format they have right now in Call of Duty League, I think is shit. Listen, I get maybe a lack of money or whatever the case may be. That's what determined the format to be like that. Sure, but the format is still shit. This is a league, but it doesn't feel like a league. It feels like individual tournaments, and that's what the problem with Call of Duty League is. Is like, and again, going back on the American thing, Americans are really good at creating entertainment in these tournaments. But we Europeans, we are so much better at creating leagues and competitions. And for some reason, Americans, well, I know what's the reason, money. Americans they want their sports to be a closed club. While we Europeans want to be as open as possible. And the way Americans see it, if you don't work hard, like if you work hard enough, to get that spot, you deserve it, and all that kind of stuff, which is fair and admirable and so on. But we Europeans thinking, wait a minute. If you can't just like force everyone to work hard to get 1 or 2 spots in this league. We believe that we want to make it as open as possible so people can compete, and the best players that deserve to be in that place should be in that place, and that's why it's a more open format. We Europeans prefer a bit more open format because we have so many different countries. 26, 27 countries in European Union alone. I don't remember if UK is included in 27. I think it's 26 now. So just European Union alone, and that's not including other countries outside European Union that want to compete, So just, for example, in soccer in Europe, we have 55 UEFA nations, basically 55 countries that want to participate in the European, tournaments. And they have their teams and clubs and everything. And that's a lot of teams and everything. And they want to compete. And it still doesn't devalue the best league we have in the world, which is the Champions League. All the teams, best teams qualify and all that kind of stuff. The best teams will be the best teams. But it's still an open format. And that's Americans want this like be a really close club and everything. And I don't like it. So Americans are really good at creating that, they're good at creating entertainment in tournaments and competitions. But us Europeans are a bit better at creating leagues and competition. If that makes any sense. Americans are for entertainment. Europeans are more like for actual competition. Who's better, whatever, that's a different story. That's not the point. So I'm just imagining like if Call of Duty League had a promotion or relegation, that kind of stuff, like teams can go down or up or whatever, depending how good or well they're doing, how good or bad they're doing in the league. That would probably, they will lose shit. I'm pretty sure Americans will lose that shit. But I think the format they have right now is garbage. Maybe with the new, with the fee removed of how, if you don't have the fee of 25 million, and they literally remove that fee, so maybe now we're gonna get more teams. Maybe next year with the new Call of Duty Black Ops 6, maybe we have 12 teams right now, right? So maybe we're gonna have 30 teams next year. Maybe we can have a proper league now, and maybe we can do like a first division, second division. Maybe we can have a promotion, and relegation, that kind of stuff. If you play bad, you go lower division. If you play good, you go up division, and all that kind of stuff. Maybe. But the reason I'm trying to say this is Call of Duty is a very global game. It's not. It's a very Americanized. Because it's American and everything. Call of Duty is a very American game. But it's a very global game. A lot of people play Call of Duty in different parts of the world, and they want to play Call of Duty. Call of Duty, when lockdown happened in UK, Call of Duty was the most played game, because there's a reason why. Because Call of Duty is a fun game and people love Call of Duty around the world. In Asia, Call of Duty Mobile is insane and all that kind of stuff. So I think, I know someone at Activision does realize that, but not everyone, unfortunately. So some of the students don't really realize that, hey, Call of Duty is a really global brand. It's not a USA specific thing and everyone follows. Call of Duty is a global brand, and I think everyone deserves a chance to compete in a competitive Call of Duty league, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I never really paid attention to a lot, regarding Call of Duty League, because it's pointless. It's really no value to me as a person, and that's the thing. We don't really have any grassroots in the Call of Duty League. Sure, we have challenges. Challenges is an event basically that happens at the same time as, I think it's at the same time as Call of Duty League, and challenges basically where all the potential prospects, players, compete against each other to earn a spot in the Call of Duty League and all that kind of stuff. And then at one point, we do have matches where Call of Duty pros play against Challengers pros, or whatever you might call them. But again, it's a very close club. It's like, I don't think it's the right format to do it, but hey. When it comes to normie Call of Duty ranked that anyone can play, I understand why bans happen, but sometimes some of it makes no sense to me. Especially with the map picks and the weapon picks and everything. And I have to criticize Treyarch for this, actually, as they're the ones been doing all the competitive stuff for Call of Duty since 2019. I think they gave too much power to certain organizations and teams. Yes, you need balance. You need balance between a developer, a marketing person, and the players, the actual players that compete. You need a bit of balance. But at this point, it's really skewed to the players, and those players are like 0.5% of the player base, or if not lower, whatever the case may be. And it's not extremely friendly towards new players that would love to play ranked and test their steel. But usually when it comes to Call of Duty ranked, multiplayer ranked, it's usually a one-sided argument, and all the goodwill disappears. I heard a lot of comments from Call of Duty players, that would love to play Call of Duty ranked, but whenever they launch the game, everything is banned. Like, sure, you might say the game is unbalanced or whatever the case may be and so on, but that's, again, then it goes towards Treyarch or anyone that's responsible for this. Okay, then try to do something to make it less banned or something, whatever the case may be. But heck, what about make new weapons just for ranked? Make a separate mode. And I'm not just talking like, MCW something. No, make a new gun that is only available in ranked and make it that your standard thing. Make weapons exclusive to Call of Duty ranked or something. One idea. But that's the thing. A lot of people, that play Call of Duty, they love to play ranked, but it's really not inviting towards new players. All the bans. Sometimes bans make no sense. I understand, for example, Smoke was banned because it was not server side, and some people, other player can see Smoke, other player could not. Yeah, that's understandable. I'm not arguing about bans like that. That makes sense. But certain bans does not make sense. I'm sorry. For example, munitions box. I'm sorry. I think you should have a munitions box. You can limit, maybe, again, it goes to the game mechanics. Maybe limit to one player that can hold a, munitions box, whatever. It's like it's trying to keep parity with a multiplayer normal game, with pubs, and then you try to be competitive. Like, I understand, there's a bit of confusion and everything, but they need to figure out how to do this, because something doesn't work here, and I don't know what to say. I'm just saying that Call of Duty ranked itself as a mode, it's not really inviting towards new players. And there's a reason why it dies out very soon, because suddenly you have silver players playing against platinum players or diamond players because there's no players, Try to play Modern Warfare 3 ranked right now. Try it. You're a bronze player, whatever, just the first time playing ranked. You're gonna play against gold or platinum players because there's no players. There's no players. And there's a reason why it dies out. It's exciting for a month or two, then everyone's gonna go back to Warzone. Or whatever the case may be, because it's not that interesting. It kind of lost its charm. Also, because we have a new COD every year, we don't really have established game modes or new game modes that could be fun in co-op, in comp modes, competitive modes. I would love to try Capture the Flag, but we did not have Capture the Flag until last month, or last 2 months or whatever. And that's the thing, like, if you want to grow your competitive scene, people love simplicity. You have to keep it simple. You don't want to make it too complicated. You don't want to make it too dumb. You just keep it simple. For example, even though Search and Destroy can be fun, like it's probably one of the most popular modes on Call of Duty, but it's not really Call of Duty though. Do you get what I mean? So the people that want competitive Call of Duty, they don't think of Search and Destroy. At least I don't. Because that's not what Call of Duty stands for me, personally. And the best competitive games in the world are unique to themselves. So Fortnite is that, Counter-Strike is that, Apex is that, while Call of Duty is trying to be like others. And because, for some reason, they're afraid to be Call of Duty. You have to be Call of Duty. You're Call of Duty. You're a fast-paced shooter with respawns. Embrace that, and you can make amazing competitive modes that are entertaining, competitive, skillful, fast. I don't know if I said fast 2 times, but you're Call of Duty. Embrace that. Embrace that thing that you're Call of Duty. And it's just one of those things, like, make it simple. Just make it simple. So Call of Duty League and the Call of Duty Multiplayer Ranked, it's a fun experience for a short while, but after that it just loses steam. No one really cares. The power is way too much skewed on the player base that plays in the comparative league. The professional players. There should be some sort of balance between community and the professional players. The format, I don't think the format works. I don't think it's that interesting. Again, it's a very Americanized format, and I don't think it's good. Call of Duty is a global game. You should try to be a global game, because a lot of people play Call of Duty in different parts of the world. And a lot of people disagree with the American way of doing Call of Duty League, because it's not a good way of doing it. And not because it's, we don't understand. We fully understand. We just think it's a shit format. That's all it is. We just think it's a shit fucking format. Because it's a very close club, a very selfish way of looking competitive league and everything. It's like, you can't compete in this unless you do this. Why everyone should have the right to compete and earn their place fairly and, because they're good. But there's too many obstacles to compete in Call of Duty. There's way too many obstacles. And that's not a good thing for the longevity of your league. I was predicting Call of Duty League is going to disappear in a year or two. Like, it was on the cards, but because they removed that entry fee for Call of Duty League, maybe now they have a chance to survive. Maybe. That it doesn't mean the Call of Duty League is safe now or it's in a good spot. No, it's still in a shitty spot. It's just shit format, not friendly towards new players, very close club, and very in a selfish way. So I would love to see Call of Duty League to be improved regarding that. But right, that was Call of Duty League. Let's talk about the other side of Call of Duty. Comparative Warzone. So, let's go straight to the point. There's no Warzone League, of course. Officially, there's no competitive scene in Warzone. The only thing that Warzone has right now is basically World Series of Warzone that happens once a year. I think it's an amazing event. A lot of question marks if it's happening this year, because it's a bit late. We don't have Battle Royale ranked yet. We don't know what's happening. Sure, we have ranked resurgence, but I'm going to talk about it in a moment. We don't know what's happening. World Series of Warzone might not happen this year, maybe, or they trying to change the schedule. Maybe the World Series of Warzone will start this year, and it will end next year. Maybe we're changing the time frame of it. Also possible. But that's a different story. We don't know. Nothing's been announced about World Series of Warzone these days. Nothing's mentioned on anything. We had it last year, and it was the most watched event ever in Call of Duty history regarding competitive COD. Warzone as a competitive mode can work, and it's really interesting. It just has a lot of problems too, like Call of Duty League. And the only thing that is happening right now is basically so-called Twitter tournaments, which I call them Mickey Mouse tournaments. They're not real tournaments. They're just some organized tournaments that with no value whatsoever. Sure, you can win some money and so on, but I don't think it's that deep or whatever. Anyway. So, Call of Duty Warzone competitive in general, everyone is still trying to figure out what's the best format for Call of Duty Warzone. Because, like I said, Call of Duty Warzone is as a battle royale is very random. A lot of things to consider and all that kind of stuff, and we don't have the tools to, let's say, ban a weapon or change some rules or whatever. We don't have the tools to make it interesting or, to have some sort of system that we can use to make Warzone competitive. And I have to say this, that Warzone as a competitive format is the future in Call of Duty competitive. Like, Warzone is the future for Call of Duty competitive. I will stand by that. My God, stupid sirens in London. Anyway, Warzone is the future of Call of Duty competitive. I will stand by that. I said it last year, and I will say it this year again. I say in the previous episodes and everything. I think I said in my YouTube videos and everything. I stand by that, and but the only thing that will kill this idea in me, unless Activision and Microsoft are too late to realize that. Warzone is the future of competitive Call of Duty. But Activision and Microsoft have to do their bit to help this thing grow. Now, of course, there's a lot of conversations happening. Well, players are not doing their best to make this grow. You have to meet in the middle somewhere. You can't put pressure. You can't put blame on players, but now don't put blame on Activision or Microsoft, or vice versa. It's both sides of the argument. The players and Activision and Microsoft, they have to meet in the middle to make competitive Warzone work. But if one side is working and the other one is barely doing anything, it gets lost in translation. Nothing's achieved. So, but I understand why Activision and Microsoft are very hesitant regarding competitive Warzone, all that kind of stuff, because let's be honest, competitive Warzone community can be a little bit cringe sometimes. And I was listening to this podcast about competitive Call of Duty, competitive Warzone, and he mentioned how certain big people in competitions, certain streamers or whatever you want to call them, a lot of people won't take part in competitions unless there's some money for them. A streamer or whatever won't take part in a competition unless they know they can make some money of it. So from personal point of view, I understand. You want to get paid and shit for everything, sure. But let's be realistic here a little bit. It's just, if you're a big streamer, I presume you have a good enough paycheck to participate in some tournaments for fun. And it's not to make money or grow your... Actually, no, wait. This can be a PR thing. A lot of celebrities, a lot of sports athletes, or whatever you want to call them, do PR stuff like that. So they participate in competitions, in charities, whatever. This can be it. So if you really think about the money, well, think of it this way. Why if you play in a charity tournament or whatever, just a simple tournament, just people that can figure out the format of the Call of Duty Warzone, what's wrong with you just taking part and just promoting it? It's good PR for you. You get a bigger audience because who this guy? He's promoting us and everything. Okay, I'll check him out and everything. It's basically PR. marketing. This is all marketing. So if big streamers, I know some certain big streamers do take part in these tournaments and they actually try to promote it, but a lot of big streamers or content creators, they should take part for free because it's just good marketing. Don't you want good marketing towards yourself? Of course you do. Because you want a bigger audience, you want a bigger paycheck, you want a bigger audience on your Twitch or YouTube's, wherever. Of course you want that. But that's what the guy said, that a lot of big people don't want to participate in tournaments, free tournaments, and try to figure out, promote the Warzone competitive, whatever, because there's no money for them. Well, honestly, in my opinion, in this case, if they don't want to, encourage other players to join them. Sure, fuck them then. You won't get the views or whatever. Sure, maybe. But you know what? Try to encourage other players that are not streamers or content creators to participate in the tournament. Make it as open as possible. Make it as open as possible. So people say like, oh, they can't fill up, scrim matches, or they can't fill up tournaments and everything. Again, a very closed club mentality. They try to pick specific people to participate in tournaments. If this is a tournament basically for fun or for experimentation, then you want to tell me you can't find players that can't be as good as other players in those positions? Of course you can. You need to stop looking at these content creators and streamers as like the source of views and everything. Yeah, you still can get, you're gonna get low and everything, but you can't rely on these people all the time, and that's the problem. That's why the way I see it, competitive matches or competitive organizations in general, they don't rely on certain people because the idea of it is what pushing the organization forward. People follow the idea, not the people. If competitive Call of Duty is a very fun experience, they don't give a damn who's participating or whatever, as long as they know it's gonna be a fun competitive experience. And that's the thing, like that's what the Call of Duty competitive scene in general is that it's all relying on these big streamers, big YouTubers or content creators. No, stop that. If you can't fill a scrim, you can find other players that will gladly participate in those scrims. And they will get better and so on and learn, and they'll go, oh wow, like this was a fun experience. I want to get better, I want to play more. You see what I mean? You have to make it open as possible for everyone to participate. If you don't make it open and it's not fun for people to participate, why would they participate in, like, why other players should participate? You complain about lack of people caring about, competitive Warzone. Well, make a place where it's encouraging for them to join. Don't make it a closed club. And that's the thing. When I hear like, oh, we can't fill up scrims because streamers or content creators or particularly don't want to take part, then get someone else. Get someone else. There's multiple players. There's loads of players that are good and can compete. You just don't know about them. That's the difference. You need to start being a closed-minded. You have to start being a closed club. Stop being closed-minded. Be open to other players. But that being said, I still don't understand why we don't have ranked Battle Royale yet. I'm recording now on the 17th of May. Season 4 is coming in 2 weeks or something like that. We still don't have ranked Battle Royale. We have ranked Resurgence. I hate ranked Resurgence with passion because it's funny how I made a video about ranked Resurgence on my YouTube channel. And I talked about, like, I think I was already Platinum or Diamond in Resurgence, and I talked about like that ranked Resurgence, like in the first 2 weeks. Ranked Resurgence is a fucking garbage mode and should not be competitive. God, my video is aging so well right now as freaking wine. So, Ranked Resurgence is such a horrible mode. It's not fun. It's just stupid. Like, I don't want to complain about Ranked Resurgence all the time and for the rest of the podcast, but it's just like, it's not good. It's not fun. I'm sorry. It's just not fun, not competitive. It's just, can we not have this? Can we have a proper Battle Royale ranked next season? If we don't, I'm done. You need to force me to play ranked resurgence at that point. Like, I don't know, have a really amazing reward. There's like animated camo or something like that. Maybe then I will force myself to play ranked resurgence. But if again we have ranked resurgence next season, I'm so done. That's just like, I don't know. But when it comes to Battle Royale ranked, we do need to establish a format. What kind of format works best? Because and I have an idea I would like to propose, but I will have to write on I will have to write a paper on it, because the form, creating a format for a competitive game is not the easiest thing to do, because you need to, think about, what the game stands for, what's more important, winning or killing, all that kind of stuff. And I believe competitive Warzone, winning should be number one thing, kills should be secondary. So because it's a battle royale. Like, imagine you always finish. Imagine like you play World Series of Warzone, right? There's 6 matches, and you finish second, maybe third or whatever. And somehow, because all the teams have different winners, like each match has a different winner, but because you were so consistent and so on, you win the tournament. No, I fully disagree with that. If you want to win the tournament, if you want to be the best player, you should be winning matches. You have to be the best. You have to be the top 3 best players from those 100 players. You just have to be. I know there's a lot of random stuff happening and everything, but that's where the format comes in. That's where you have to find the balance between, winning the game in kills, because not everyone can win the game, and there's a lot of random stuff that you have to think about. It is. But people talk about, let's say, proposing a match point system. And a match point system is basically, for anyone that doesn't know, a match point system is when teams reach a certain number of points, which basically becomes match point. And let's say if the team that has a match point, they win the game, they win the tournament. So technically, let's say there's could be 7-8 teams reaching match point, and if they win the game, they'll become champions of the tournament, or whatever the case may be. I understand the idea behind it, because the reason they propose match points, because that's the way it works in Apex Legends. But the way Warzone works, and the way Call of Duty Warzone is itself, match point brings too much randomness, and it makes no sense where a 7th place team becomes champions. It doesn't make sense in my eyes. So we need to have an idea of what kind of format we would like to see, but I need to write a paper about it, and I'll actually, you know what, I'll try to do it for the next month and see what can come up. But yeah, sure, maybe it's entertaining to some viewers with match point system for Call of Duty Warzone, but it's entertaining because it's random as fuck. And it works in Apex Legends because they don't have 100 players, they have 60. And when people could propose, that kind of systems and everything, this sounds to me sometimes like, because it works right now in Apex Legends, we have to do the same thing, right? People they don't think long term, they don't look at the bigger picture, and that's the problem. Yes, we need something now, technically, but don't you think we'd rather build a good foundation first and have a slow start, and then regret later with the system we propose now? You don't want to regret your decision later on, right? You want to build a good foundation for the future that you can be satisfied with, and just keep going from there. And that's why I don't think a lot of people understand when it comes to solutions to competitive Warzone. You need a long-term solution to the problem, and we need to build a good foundation for the future. So that's why I don't think match point is a good system, because match point sounds like it was proposed for the sake of, because it works in Apex Legends right now, so that means we have to use it now too. That's how it feels like. And the way the system works, I don't think it will work in Call of Duty. It's just too random, and I don't think it works. Warzone itself should work as a league, as in the system should be some sort of league-wise. And when I say league, I mean European type of league. You have your team, number of teams, on the match, and it should be some sort of scoring system. Like, the better you play, the more points you get. if you win the game, you get like some sort of cushion or whatever the case may be, and so on. It should be performing like a league and not like those playoff matches that you have in America, whatever. Like you have, West and East, and have groups and everything, and then half of the groups go. Like it works in a World Cup type of setting, sure, but I don't think it works in Warzone, and Warzone needs a different format. And it needs a bit like a proper European League format. I think that, I'm sorry, but I think that's the best way Call of Duty to approach when it comes to Call of Duty competitive Warzone. Of course, in-game tournaments is a must. Fortnite does it. I think other games do it. And Call of Duty needs in-game tournaments like, for Call of Duty League and Warzone. I think it's a no-brainer. You just need that you just need that. And for Fortnite, if you want to compete in a world championship or whatever, you play those tournaments and you qualify through those tournaments and all that stuff. Everything is set up in the game. Everything is ready. You just have to play. Of course, don't cheat. Don't cheat. But you played on those games. You qualify and everything. You play good and you get points and you qualify and all that kind of stuff. Call of Duty Warzone had, for example, those gunfight tournaments back in 2019 Modern Warfare. Those gunfight tournaments were amazing. Lovely, amazing tournaments. Those gunfight tournaments were godsend back then. I don't understand why they never brought that back for Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3. Whatever the case may be, we really need gunfight tournaments because gunfight tournaments worked so well in 2019 Modern Warfare. I don't understand why they never brought them back. It was such an amazing, refreshing experience. And that's what we need in, sure, not gunfight tournament itself, but they clearly have the technology to do that, to have in-game tournaments. So why can't we have that right now? Why can't we have that, in-game? Why can't we have a Warzone tournament in-game? Why can't we have a Call of Duty League tournament in-game? Of course we can. Of course we can. They have the technology, clearly. And again, I've been listening to a lot of Call of Duty comparators. I already mentioned about how American side, they kind of focus on the focus on the Call of Duty scene, the Call of Duty comparative scene. They're all about content and nothing else. And apparently that's what makes, content, that's what makes you worthy to participate in these tournaments, Warzone tournaments, whatever, is the content. I don't know. The way I see it is just like, if you're good enough, you should participate. End of story. And if you want to expand your horizons with content and everything, fine. That's all good. But it should be based on merit, not on opinion or who is better at video editing. You see what I mean? If you're good enough, you should compete. End of story. Don't get me wrong. Content is important. Because you can get noticed, make some money on the side, all that kind of stuff. But it would be great if your skills would do the talking and not your editing skills. If you know what I mean. And of course, I haven't mentioned the most important thing about competitive Call of Duty in general is aim assist. I'm sorry, but you either balance aim assist or either make Call of Duty a mouse only. What did I say? Call of Duty mouse, keyboard and mouse only. What did I say? I don't remember. Aim assist is really overpowered. All the best players use controls because aim assist is so good. If you're a good, keyboard player, you're not progressing anywhere because aim assist is so fucking good. And just imagine for a second, keyboard and mouse tournaments only in Call of Duty, with no aim assist, no cheating too. What a lovely sight! What a fucking lovely sight! So it would be great if they could, balance aim assist. Please. Because it's just so dumb right now that it's a comparative scene, but controllers only. And people say, well, it's a controller game. No, my dudes. Call of Duty was always a K-BAM controller and mouse game. From its inception, Call of Duty was always keyboard and mouse. Console just became bigger because it was an easy way to access the video games, because a more casual experience. It's a console. It's a gaming console. Of course, the biggest franchise in the world will go for console gaming because it's an easy way for people to enter. They don't have to build a PC. They don't have to build a console, whatever. You just buy a piece of box, put the disc in, and play the game. And controller is a very casual way of playing the game. But suddenly, Call of Duty is the only game where they switch if you don't play controller, you're not competing because aim assist is so fucking good. It's just so dumb. So dumb. It should not be a thing. Should not be a thing. Aim assist is way too strong. I don't care what people say, and I will gladly see keyboard and mouse only. If you don't balance aim assist, at least make it keyboard and mouse only. I know that's not gonna happen, under no circumstances that's ever gonna happen, because that status quo is too established. It's just not happening. But just imagine how many good players you can witness and what kind of stories you can witness where it's actually about skill, where people will play with the keyboard and mouse only in tournaments. Just imagine how amazing it can be. And some people that you think they're good, actually not that good. Because a piece of software that was aiming for them for 60% of their aiming, or wherever they aim, it was established that about 60% of your aiming is being done by a piece of software on the controller. Fuck that. That's not skill. That's not whatever. It's just cheese. It's just cheese. So either balance aim assist or make Call of Duty keyboard and mouse somewhat better. Remove all the visual recall, clean up all that kind of stuff, clean some gameplay elements to make gunplay more interesting and fun and more skillful, and then enjoy the magic. Oops, hit my mic. Then enjoy the magic. See how it goes. Right. What else I could talk about? I mean, nothing much. I think I've been talking for an hour, so I'm just gonna mention this quickly. I may as well end the podcast here. So, Call of Duty comparative, Call of Duty League, Call of Duty multiplayer or Call of Duty Warzone, both are equally fun when they're being played. But both of those things, Call of Duty League and Call of Duty Warzone, they're not friendly towards new people. It's not encouraging for the new teams to join. It feels like a very close club. The formats don't make sense sometimes because they're looking from an American point of view. I understand you need to attract the audience to care about your tournaments. If there's no audience, there's no tournaments, obviously. But audience loves simplicity. They want the best players to perform at their best, and they want someone to challenge those best players because they want to hear how underdog defeats a best player and all that kind of stuff. But you need to create, elements for that. You need to create a format for that and all that kind of stuff. But you need to make it competitive and fair, which is not easy. Fully understand that. But my biggest gripe is Call of Duty itself, as a franchise, doesn't have the grassroots to create those competitive players. It doesn't have the grassroots to make these players care about the competitive Call of Duty. And we still don't have ranked battle royale. Call of Duty League itself, the multiplayer section of the game, is pretty much dead, like I said, because it's not inviting towards new people. It's not inviting towards new people. And because you don't have the grassroots and everything, that's why you don't have the numbers to care about your Call of Duty League. I remember there was a story how one of the teams had to cancel a LAN event because there was not enough tickets were sold. Well, whose fault is that? It's definitely not the audience's fault. It's because audience doesn't really care about your league. And there's a reason why, because it's not inviting towards those people. It's a very close club, very American-wise, franchises and everything, and then you have your bans and everything that sometimes don't make sense. Developers don't really take notice either, and if they do, it's great, but it's like you're not doing anything about it. You might be talking about it, but you don't do anything about it. Someone that, the executives or whoever's making, these important decisions where the money is going regarding development, some of it needs to be addressed. If you want to grow your competitive scene, you better put some, budget on the side to do something regarding competitive. You know what I mean? It's right now. It's just like he said that. It's like it's a broken telephone game and no one knows what's going on, and that's the problem. So, I think as I mentioned in the last episode that if you want to grow your competitive scene or whatever the case may be, you need the right people in the right spots, in the right positions, and encourage developers and the players and everything to go towards a specific goal they see. So if we want to have a competitive scene, that means we need an organization or people responsible for organizing everything. And we need to create a format that when those people leave or certain individuals disappear, the league itself, the format itself, or whatever the case may be, doesn't crumble when a certain individual or personalities, whoever, leave. That's the thing. You need to build a good foundation to keep the competitive scene going without these personalities. You need to build a foundation that is strong enough to survive with new personalities. I am so sorry if you hear people in the background because neighbors. Can't do anything about it, sorry. But yeah, Call of Duty competitive is a very fun experience. Can be really entertaining, very educational, very rewarding and fun and fast and all that kind of stuff. But again, grassroots. You need to be more inviting towards new people. And I can have so many things to say, about competitive scene and everything, but I will leave it at that. For now, I'm just gonna say thank you guys for listening. Thank you for interacting with the podcast. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for leaving the ratings and everything. That would be great because it does help the people to discover the podcast. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Lanky Soldier. Get some early access to future episodes. Get some extra content. Watch some extra videos, whatever the case may be, or just support the show if you like my ramblings. That's gonna it. Don't forget the Google Forms document in the description. To leave feedback, questions, or whatever that is on your mind. And that's great. So, my name is Tom, aka the Lanky Soldier. I'll see you in the next episode, and hopefully we'll see each other on somewhere rank Resurgence, maybe on Rebirth Island, and we shoot each other in the face, whatever the case may be. Maybe on Uzbekistan. We'll see. Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys on the next one.